Lyria wasn't like the other students at Ridgewood High. Her silver hair shimmered under the fluorescent lights, and her eyes, a striking shade of violet, glowed softly in the dark. She always wore a beanie to hide her hair, pulling it low over her ears, hoping no one would notice how they tapered to slight points. Most kids thought her strange appearance was just a result of an eccentric style-dyed hair, colored contacts, but the truth was something far more extraordinary. Lyria was an alien. She had come from Nyx, a planet where the landscape glowed under 3 moons, and cities were built from crystals that hummed with soft energy. On Nyxera, Lyria had been a curious young student, eager to learn about distant worlds. But now, standing in the busy hallway of Ridgewood High, she felt like she'd never been more out of place. Earth's buildings were dull, its skies held only 1 moon, and the air buzzed with the noise of students laughing, shouting, and tapping on their ever-present phones. Her first day was a blur. The bell rang shrilly through the halls, and Lyria flinched at the sound, drawing more curious stares. She moved through the crowded hallways, trying to ignore the whispers and the sideways glances. She kept her head down, her hands gripping the straps of her backpack, as if it might keep her grounded in this strange place. In her biology class, Lyria sat alone at the back of the room, clutching her notebook. When the teacher asked a question about cellular structures, she nearly raised her hand until she remembered that Earth's biology was different from Nyxera's. Instead, she scribbled down notes, keeping her head low. After class, a girl with curly brown hair and a bright smile slid into the seat beside her. "Hi. You're the new girl, right?" "I'm Mia," she said, extending a hand with enthusiasm. Lyria hesitated, then took it, surprised by the warmth of the handshake. Mia chatted excitedly, barely noticing that Lyria responded in short, careful sentences. She showed Lyria around the school, pointing out the cafeteria, gymnasium, and the library. She explained the strange rituals of lunch periods and elective classes, and even made Lyria laugh a little when she described her disastrous attempt at cooking in home economics. By the end of the day, Lyria felt a bit more at ease. But when she walked home alone, the early autumn air biting at her cheeks, she couldn't shake the feeling that she didn't belong here. She missed the comforting glow of Nyxera's 3 moons, and the way everything felt connected back home. Here on Earth, she was a stranger, always hiding, always pretending. As she walked under the fading daylight, she wondered if she would ever find a place where she could truly be herself. Lyria found solace in the science lab. It became her refuge, a place where the quiet hum of equipment and the scent of chemicals made her feel a little less alien. Earth's science was primitive compared to the advanced technology of Nyxera. But Lyria took comfort in the familiar rhythm of equations and experiments. She excelled in physics, chemistry, and biology, her hands moving with ease as she worked through problems that left other students stumped. One afternoon, after the last bell rang, she stayed behind in the lab, tinkering with a broken spectrometer. It was a device designed to analyze light, but it had been malfunctioning for weeks. Lyria knew she could fix it, but the process required a bit of energy she couldn't explain to any human. She glanced around to make sure she was alone. Then she reached into her pocket and pulled out a small, glowing crystalline shard of Nyxera. Its faint blue light cast a soft glow over her face, and as she touched it to the spectrometer, she sent a small pulse of energy through the machine. The screen flickered, then stabilized, showing a clear reading. Lyria smiled to herself, satisfied with the repair. But her smile faded when she heard a sharp intake of breath. She turned quickly, tucking the crystal back into her pocket, but it was too late. Ethan, the school's top science student, stood in the doorway, his eyes wide behind his glasses. What did you just do?" he asked, his voice shaky with awe and confusion. Lyria's mind raced. She had been so careful to hide her abilities, to blend in, and act like any other human teenager. Now, she had been caught using her Nyxeran energy. But as she looked into Ethan's eyes, she saw not fear, but curiosity, hunger for understanding that she recognized in herself. She bit her lip, then decided to take a risk. "It's not something I can explain easily," she said softly. "But you have to promise not to tell anyone. Please." Ethan nodded slowly, his eyes never leaving hers. "Okay. I won't tell. But you have to explain it to me." "What are you, Lyria?" She hesitated, then let out a breath. "I'm not from around here, Ethan. Not just this town. Not even from this planet. I'm from a place called Nick." Ethan's expression shifted from confusion to... He leaned against the doorframe, trying to process her words. "An alien? You're really an alien?" Lyria nodded, feeling a strange mix of relief and fear. "Yeah, but you have to keep it a secret. I can't let anyone else find out." Ethan studied her for a long moment, then offered a small, tentative smile. "Deal. I'll keep your secret. But you have to tell me more. About your world, your technology, everything." Lyria's heart lifted, just a little. For the first time since arriving on Earth, she had found someone she could share a piece of her true self with. As the weeks passed, Lyria settled into her new life at Ridgewood High, but she still felt the weight of her secrets pressing down on her. The school's annual sports day was approaching, and it was all anyone could talk about. Mia, who had become Lyria's closest friend, was especially excited, urging her to join the track team. "You're so fast, Lyria. I've seen you in gym class. You'd be amazing," Mia insisted one afternoon, her enthusiasm lighting up her face as they sat together on the bleachers. Lyria hesitated. She loved running back on Nick's. She had run across open fields under the light of 3 moons, her feet barely touching the ground. But she knew that here on Earth, she had to hold back. Nick's runs were naturally faster and stronger than humans, and if she didn't control her speed, she'd draw attention. And attention was the last thing she needed. But Mia was persistent, and Lyria found herself agreeing to try out for the team. At her first practice, she lined up on the track with the other runners, trying to ignore the nervous flutter in her chest. When the coach blew the whistle, she surged forward. Feeling the thrill of the wind in her face, the familiar rhythm of her legs carrying her forward. For a moment, she forgot herself, lost in the joy of running. When she crossed the finish line, she realized her mistake. She was nearly a full lap ahead of everyone else, her breath steady while the other runners panted and gasped. The coach stared at her, his mouth hanging open, and the other students gaped, whispering to each other. Lyria's heart pounded, and she faked a stumble, clutching her ankle as she sank to the ground. "Must have twisted it," she gasped, forcing a sheepish smile. "Sorry, I guess I got carried away." Mia rushed over, her eyes wide with concern. "Are you okay? That was incredible, Lyria. Until you fell, I mean." Lyria laughed nervously, hoping the coach wouldn't press her about joining the team. Ethan, watching from the sidelines, caught her eye and raised an eyebrow. He knew exactly what had happened, and Lyria could practically hear his thoughts. "You have to be more careful." After practice, Ethan caught up with her. "You can't do that, Lyria. People are going to notice if you keep running like that," he warned quietly. "I know," Lyria sighed, brushing a strand of silver hair from her face. "It's just hard to always remember to hold back. Sometimes, I just want to feel like myself." Ethan's expression softened. "I get it. But blending in is the only way to stay safe." Lyria nodded, but inside, she felt a pang of frustration. She was starting to wonder if she would ever be able to truly be herself on this planet, or if she would always have to hide behind a mask. As the weeks went on, Lyria, Mia, and Ethan became closer. They ate lunch together, studied in the library, and even shared jokes about their teachers. For the first time, Lyria felt like she had friends who saw beyond her strange appearance. But the weight of her secrets still hung heavy over her. One afternoon, as the leaves began to turn gold and red, Lyria found Mia crying in the back of the library, hidden between the dusty stacks. She had her head buried in her arms, her shoulders shaking with silent sobs. "Mia, what's wrong?" Lyria asked, crouching down beside her. Mia looked up, her eyes red and puffy. "I failed my math test," she whispered, her voice breaking. "And if I don't bring my grade up, I'll be kicked off the track team. My parents will be so disappointed, and I've been trying so hard, Lyria. I don't understand any of it." Lyria felt a pang of sympathy. She knew how much track meant to Mia, how hard she worked to keep up with her studies. For a moment, she considered all the rules she had made for herself about staying hidden, about keeping her abilities secret. But then she looked at Mia's tear-streaked face, and she knew she couldn't let her friend suffer when she had the power to help. That evening, she met Mia in the empty science lab, with Ethan beside her. "I think I can help you, Mia," Lyria said, taking out the glowing crystal. Mia's eyes widened, her breath catching in her throat as she saw the soft blue light. "But you have to promise not to tell anyone what you're about to see." Mia nodded, her curiosity overpowering her confusion. Lyria focused, channeling the crystal's energy to create a holographic projection of the math problems. Numbers and equations floated in the air, glowing with a soft blue light. And Lyria walked Mia through each problem, explaining concepts in a way that made the complicated formulas seem simple. Mia's eyes widened as she followed along, understanding dawning in her expression. "This is... I can actually see it now," she whispered, her voice filled with awe. "Thank you, But, what is this?" Lyria glanced at Ethan, who gave her a small, encouraging nod. She took a deep breath. "It's a part of me, Mia. I'm from a place called Nix, a place where this kind of thing is normal." For a moment, Mia just stared at her, her mouth slightly open. Lyria braced herself for rejection, for fear, but then Mia's expression softened. She reached out and touched the edge of the holographic display, a tentative smile forming on her lips. "Well, that's definitely not what I expected. But I guess I can handle having a best friend who's out of this world." Lyria's chest tightened with relief, and she felt a warmth spreading through her that she hadn't felt in a long time. For the first time, she realized that maybe she didn't have to carry her secrets alone. In the weeks that followed, Mia's grades improved, and she regained her place on the track team. The three of them, Lyria, Mia, and Ethan, became an inseparable trio, spending their afternoons exploring the hidden corners of Ridgewood and sharing stories under the golden autumn sun. Lyria found herself feeling almost at home, even if she knew she could never fully reveal her true self to anyone beyond this small circle. But as the first chill of winter crept into the air, Lyria felt a longing for Nixera's endless fields and violet skies. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, turning the sky a deep orange, Lyria and Mia sat on the roof of the school, their legs dangling over the edge. Below them, the town settled into the rhythms of evening, the distant sound of cars mixing with the rustling of leaves. Mia turned to Lyria, her face thoughtful in the twilight. "Do you ever miss it?" "Nixera, I mean, your home." Lyria looked out over the town, her thoughts drifting back to the world she had left behind. "I do. I miss the way the air felt alive, like everything was connected. I miss the moons, and the way they lit up the night. But most of all, I miss not having to hide who I am." Mia reached over and took Lyria's hand, her grip warm against the evening chill. "You don't have to hide from me. Or from Ethan. We like you for who you are, Lyria. Even if that means you're a little different." Lyria felt tears prick at the corners of her eyes, but she blinked them back, smiling at her friend. For so long, she had believed that being different meant being alone, that no one could ever truly accept her for what she was. But now, with Mia's hand in hers, and Ethan's quiet support, she realized that maybe she had been wrong. As the stars began to appear one by one in the darkening sky, Lyria found a sense of peace she hadn't felt in a long time. She didn't know what the future held, whether she would stay on Earth, or find her way back to Nixera one day. But she knew that she had found something precious here. A connection that spanned beyond planets. A friendship that made her feel seen. And as she sat there, under the glow of Earth's single moon, she realized that maybe, just maybe, she had found a place where she could belong.